Chapter 11, Running the Court. The following morning, the tension in the air was palpable. Exuma arrived at the townhome. With his usual calm demeanor, he addressed the group. "We have the final toxicology reports from the victims' blood samples," Exuma said. "There were traces of an unknown toxin. We don't exactly know how it got there. Toxins can be absorbed through the skin or inhaled, but that seems unlikely. We also considered the possibility of someone introducing the toxin directly into the bloodstream, like by a needle, for example. There was no evidence on any of the bodies that a needle was used or that the skin integrity was compromised. That leaves us with an oral ingestion." Robin folded her arms. "So you think it could be tied to the food they ate?" Exuma nodded. "That's a definite possibility." Kyle cleared his throat. "What about Chef Pinder? He was the one handling our food." Exuma turned to him. "Do you believe he could have done something?" Becca took a careful breath. "I don't want to accuse someone unfairly, but he was alone in the kitchen, and he could have done anything to our food. And with separate plates for each of us, he could have targeted specific people." Shane nodded. "And Pinder wasn't exactly thrilled with us. He seemed irritated when we asked for modifications. I mean, he made a comment about us being particular about our meals." Robin sighed. "Jay and Reggie had a little too much to drink the first night at dinner and ended up making some blunt remarks about the dessert. I don't think Pinder took it very well." Kyle added, "And on Surf and Turf night, Jared and Carlos made a big deal about not wanting steak. They insisted on extra fish, and Pinder wasn't thrilled about the extra work." Robin swallowed her unease as she watched Exuma process their words. "Do you think it's possible he tampered with something?" Exuma studied them, his gaze shifting from one to the next. Finally, he said, "We'll be bringing him in for questioning again. If he had any motive, we'll find it." Exuma went to find Pinder, who was working a few units down. About 15 minutes later, the group saw officers escorting Pinder toward a waiting car when something happened that none of them expected. Pinder bolted. He lunged sideways, breaking free from the officer's grip and sprinting toward the docks. Mayhem erupted as officers shouted and gave chase. Jason and Jackson, who had been watching from a distance, exchanged uneasy glances. Jackson started to move forward, but Jason grabbed his arm, shaking his head. "Not our problem." The survivors stood frozen, watching the commotion unfold. Pinder dashed across the docks, his breath ragged, before launching himself into the water. The waves crashed against the dock, the tide unusually high. He swam toward the jetty, his strokes frantic as he fought against the strong rip currents. One officer hesitated at the edge of the dock, scanning the water, but no one jumped in after him. "The currents are too strong out there," one of the resort staff muttered. "No one's stupid enough to swim in that." Pinder's figure bobbed in the choppy waves, his strokes becoming weaker as the current pulled him farther out. And then, just like that, he was gone. Minutes passed. The officers scanned the water, shouting his name, but there was no response. No movement, no sign of Pinder at all. "Damn fool drowned himself," one of the officers muttered under his breath. "And innocent men don't run." Later that evening, Exuma stopped by the vacation home, his expression unreadable as he faced the 4 survivors. "We scoured the shoreline and sent out a search team," he said. "No trace of Pinder. The currents around the jetty are deadly. If he made it out, he'd be the luckiest man alive. At this point, we have no reason to think it wasn't Pinder. You're free to go." Shane let out a deep breath, the tension leaving his shoulder for the first time in days. The others exchanged glances, but before they could speak, Exuma continued. It's funny. I've known Chef Pinder for over 20 years, and I've never once heard a complaint about him. It's hard to comprehend he's connected to something like this. I know he had a history, but he left that life a long time ago. His sharp eyes studied them. And you know what? For the record, people who commit crimes together never stay allies for long. Eventually, one of them slips up. He let the words hang in the air, waiting for a reaction. Becca gave a tight smile. Good thing we have nothing to hide. Exuma watched her for a moment longer before nodding. So it would seem. He paused and took a long, hard look at the four. I'm sorry for your loss, each of you. As he walked away, they stood in silence. They were in the clear, but the detective's words lingered.